I'm gonna yawn, I have a feeling. Never mind.
What the fuck?
What is going on, guys? Johannes here, coming back at you with another video today. We are back on the tier lists. I told you we were going to do this as a series. We are back with the running backs. This list is a little different. Instead of S tier, A tier, B, all the way down to F, it's a little different. It's best of the best, great, good, and then solid backup. We are going to be ranking mostly all the starters for every team. I can see right here we got like James Robinson and Travis Etienne from the Jags, so there are some teams with two running backs, but mostly it's going to be the top guy. And we're just going to see my opinion on them, just like the quarterbacks. If you're coming straight over from the quarterback video, I appreciate you. Drop a like, drop a comment, and let's get right into it. All right, first up is J.K. Dobbins. I actually think J.K. Dobbins is good. I don't think he's really on that great tier yet. As I'm recording this, he did tear his ACL and he's out for the year, so that sucks. I do think he's good though, and he has potential to be great. He went to Ohio State. Hold on. I think he went to Ohio State. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. Maybe. I think. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, moving along to Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is just for me. Kind of undersized. Not the fastest, not the quickest. Kind of just he's okay. I mean, he's I think he can lead in that kind of role, but he's just kind of Next is Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon kind of goes in the same category with J.K. Dobbins. I think he's above J.K. Dobbins right now, but he hasn't really popped yet. So I don't think he's really in great, and he's definitely not best of the best, but he is very good, and I do like him. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb isn't best of the best for me. One of the best pure runners in the league. He's very efficient on the ground, and he splits carries with Kareem Hunt. So kind of imagining what he could do if Kareem Hunt wasn't there. I think he could lead the league in rushing every year, lead the league in carries, do more in the passing game, but he's definitely best of the best for sure, despite that. Melvin Gordon right now is just good. He used to be great, kind of slowed down these past years when he went over to Denver. Doesn't really do much for me. He's okay. Next is Javonte Williams. I think this is. He's just an right now. He has to prove it. I like him a lot. He's actually on my fantasy team. But for most rookies, unless it's like Saquon Barkley coming out of college, you're just going to go in you need to prove it to me in the NFL first. So that's probably what's going to be with most of these rookies. Next is David Johnson. David Johnson at this point is a solid backup. He popped for like a year and a half with the Cardinals and then just kind of fell off due to injury. Most of these guys that are older, injuries hit them like a truck. They're just not the same player. David Johnson's not the same player that he was. I used to love David Johnson. I remember the All or Nothing. I don't know if any of you remember that, the All or Nothing on Amazon. It kind of highlighted his career in the start of it and the jump of it, and I was always a big David Johnson fan, and then he just kind of fell off. Next, I think this is Mark Ingram. I mean, I like Mark Ingram. I think if this is Mark Ingram, but I think he just goes in a solid backup at this point. I mean, at the end of last year with the Ravens, he was second fiddle to J.K. Dobbins. His age caught up with him. So at this point, I think he's just a solid backup. Next, I think is Marlon Mack. Yeah, because Jonathan Taylor's 28 down here. So this is Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is good. He's definitely good. Very athletic for his size. I mean, in limited touches, he does very well for the Colts. I mean, they do have a great O-line, but I mean, he's good. I mean, there's not really much else to say. I mean, he's just a good running back. Next is James Robinson. I think James Robinson goes in the top of good. Obviously had 1 year undrafted rookie, but I mean, he took off with the opportunity and he carried that offense for some time. James Robinson's definitely very good. He would have had to split carries with Travis Etienne, who's next on our list, but I think he has like a Liz Frank injury. I think that's what it's called with the foot. But same thing. I'm just gonna put him in He's not like a generational talent coming out of college. I do like Travis Etienne a lot. I liked him at Clemson a ton, but he is injured right now. Not that that has anything to do with his talent, but He's a rookie, so I'm just going to put him in F for now. He hasn't shown it in the NFL. Next is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's also good. Kind of had some injury concerns last year. He's a smaller running back, but in that Chiefs offense, I think he can be very deadly if he's completely healthy. Right now, he's at the top of good, almost into that great category. He just has to prove it more and stay healthy. Next is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs goes in great. He's an amazing talent out of Alabama with that Raiders offense. They did sign Kenyon Drake, which kind of diminishes his value. I don't know why they brought him in, because I think Josh Jacobs has the potential to be a great pass catcher, and I think that's what they kind of brought in Kenyon Drake for. But to me, Josh Jacobs can do it all. I mean, the talent around him hasn't been there like it has been for Nick Chubb with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and so on and so forth with the Browns. And downfield passing game, I think the opportunities will open up for Josh Jacobs more. And I think if they involve him in the passing game more and don't just leave that to Kenyon Drake, I think he could definitely be best of the best at the end of the year. But who knows with John Gruden. Next was the previously mentioned Kenyon Drake. I think Kenyon Drake's just kind of good. I think I'd take Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Kenyon Drake, but Kenyon Drake's definitely good. Kind of along with most of these guys, they haven't really popped, but they're good backs. Next is Myles Gaskin. Again, Myles Gaskin is good to me. Kind of popped at the end of last year a little bit. Kind of proved that he can carry that offensive role for Miami, but at the same time, he has to prove it a little more. Prove he can be somewhat of a workhorse. I know he's not the biggest guy, but has talent in the pass game, obviously in the running game as well. So he's just good. Damian Harris also goes into good. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on some of these guys and then not harsh enough on some of these guys, but I just feel like all these guys are good. They're not really like these guys down here, but I don't really see them as great. Damian Harris is solid, but I'm gonna keep him in good. I mean, he's a good running back, went to Alabama, an average to above average in the passing game. Doesn't have like amazing hands, but he can have a role in the passing game. He's a good runner. With the Patriots O-line, I think he'll do good this year, especially because they traded Sony Michel. But right now, he's just good. Hasn't really popped yet. Next is Michael Carter. Michael Carter goes into I think that's Michael Carter, if I'm right. Maybe. But it's still, has to prove it for me. But the next guy, Najee Harris, I want to put him in good. I want to put him in good so bad, but I put all the other rookies in Najee Harris also went to Alabama. I love Najee Harris coming out of college, went to the Steelers. I knew he was going to go to the Steelers. Hopefully the line can hold up this year for Najee, and hopefully he doesn't get run into the ground like they kind of did with Le'Veon Bell. But I love Najee Harris. He's a great athlete. One of the hardest working running backs I've ever seen. Constantly chopping his legs and runs. Strong lower half. Just above average at most. And even in the passing game, he's above average in all areas of being a running back. Next is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is king right now. That's his nickname, King Henry. Rushed for over 2,000 yards last year. I think the 8th player ever to do 2K. And the last since, obviously, Chris Johnson, CJ 2K. But King Henry's best of the best. I mean, he's like 6'3.5", 6'4", 230. If you try to arm tackle him, it's a big mistake. You're going to get trucked. I don't know if you've seen the Josh Norman clip, but it is absolutely disgusting. You do not try and arm tackle Derrick Henry, especially if you're a corner. Josh Norman was horizontal to the ground. That is a grown man, okay? Derrick Henry is nasty. Next up is Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is a solid backup. I think with the role that he's going to get with the Cardinals, he can do something. But, I mean, if he's on any other team, he's definitely going to be the backup for sure. He's not really the most athletic, not really the strongest or the fastest. He's just a solid backup. Next is Mike Davis, the new starter. He's also a solid backup. We saw it last year. He is a backup running back. He was Christian McCaffrey's backup, but with the workload that he got due to Christian McCaffrey getting injured, he was able to take advantage of that. But he's a backup. I mean, he was the backup on the Panthers. So next is Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league. To me, it's undeniable. Overall running back, at least, I would take Derrick Henry as a pure runner. But if you're taking in all aspects of being a running back, Christian McCaffrey's hands down the best, and you cannot argue with me. 1,000 yards as a runner, 1,000 yards as a catcher, 1,000 yards of each. That's last time since what? Marshall Faulk, I think. I don't know if that's 100%, but one of few to get 1,000. Best in the league. Next is David Montgomery. I have a lot of Bears fans as friends. I mean, he's just good. I'll put him next to J.K. Dobbins. He's good. Next is Tariq Cohen. I'm just gonna put him in eh. I think Tariq Cohen is so overrated. To what Bears fans especially think he is. People think he's like the next Tyreek Hill. Although Tariq Cohen is small and quick, he is nothing like Tyreek Hill. That's why he's a running back. I mean, Matt Nagy finds ways to use him, and he's tough to bring down sometimes against smaller corners. But Tariq Cohen is just he's coming off an injury. Who knows if he's going to have that same burst? I hope so. I mean, I'm not a Bears hater. I hope, for the sake of my friends, that they do well and that Tariq Cohen can get some of that burst back. But I don't know, coming off of the injury that he came off of. Next is DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is very good. Kind of at the same level of Clyde Edwards-Helaire as far as talent-wise. Doesn't really have the output yet, but he popped in the last half of the season last year. I'm kind of realizing now that I have a lot in the good section. I don't know. I'm sticking with it for now, but maybe I'll switch it later. Do I? Do I? I'm keeping Aaron Jones in great. He gets a lot of touchdowns, and people think he's amazing because of fantasy, because he gets a lot of touchdowns. As a pure player, I think Aaron Jones is great. I don't think he's best of the best. I think there's better pass catchers. I think there's better runners. I think there's better blockers. I think there's better overall players. So he goes into great for me, not best of the best. Next is Cam Akers. Cam Akers is an eh. I'll put him at the top of eh with Najee. Kind of undersized for a running back, but he also kind of took over that role in Los Angeles, and he was going to be their primary back, but he is out. I'm not sure if it's for the year or not, but I do like Cam Akers out of Florida State, coming out of the draft a couple years ago now. But he's just kind of eh. I mean, he hasn't really proved it for a full season that he can stay healthy or produce for that long. So I'm just putting him in eh right now. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is tough because he has injury concerns. And I know he played a lot last year, and it wasn't really a huge concern, but it is a concern. So I'm going to put him at the top of great. I think Dalvin Cook is great. I think he's great in the passing game. I think the zone scheme that the Vikings run really plays well to his strengths. But do I think he's better than Nick Chubb? No. Or Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. I think he's great. I think if he continues to stay healthy and proves that the injury concern isn't really a concern anymore, I think he can definitely be in that best of the best. Kind of on the same level with Saquon Barkley. Listen, Saquon Barkley was probably one of the greatest running back draft prospects to ever come out of college, but injury concerns kind of hampered him. I love Saquon Barkley. He's a great person. His quads are the size of people's torsos. It's insane. Definitely talent-wise, one of the best running backs in the game, if not the best, just based on pure athletic ability and talent. But he has to stay on the field. That's why I just think he's in great right now. Miles Sanders, listen. Miles Sanders is eh. I know people who have him on their fantasy teams and just look at overall stats think he's insane, especially Eagles fans. I read a stat that he had 3 runs of over 70 yards last year, and by far like the first time that's ever happened. So if you take away those 3 70-yard runs, his yards per carry is average at best. His overall yards is at best. And yeah, 70-yard runs are very hard to come by, but they can also be fluke things where the defense breaks down. So I'm not putting a lot of stock into his numbers. And as a specific player in athletic ability and talent over him. I don't think Miles Sanders is more gifted than David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, if anything, I'll put Myles Gaskin down in because I think maybe they're more similar. But Miles Sanders is kind of overrated for me. You can call me biased being a Cowboys fan, but Miles Sanders was on my fantasy team last year. He won me some games, if you want to bring out fantasy. But as a pure running back, not talking about fantasy at all, I think he's just right now. Next is Chris Carson. Chris Carson is good. Kind of on a tier below some of these guys, and he gets hurt. I think Chris Carson is really good, but the injury concerns, I don't think he's ever played a full 16 games. He does well in the Seahawks system and has proven to be somewhat of a good replacement when Marshawn Lynch left, and has carried that as the workhorse, but has yet to kind of prove that he can stay healthy and be that true workhorse and take all the carries. Next is Raheem Mostert. I think Raheem Mostert, although I think he's underrated as far as his speed, I think he's just a solid backup. I think Trey Sermon's eventually going to take over that role, and now that I say that, I don't even see Trey Sermon on here, but I think Trey Sermon's definitely going to take over that role as their lead back. There's a reason Raheem Mostert hasn't really popped yet, and I think he's like 27 or 28 already, and he does have injury concerns, so he's just a solid backup for me. Ronald Jones is a solid backup at this point. I really had high hopes for Ronald Jones, but I don't know, man. To me, he's just a backup. I mean, he splits carries with Leonard Fournette. Do I want to put both of these guys together? I mean, at this point, Leonard Fournette's kind of Do I want to put Ronald Jones above? No, I'd take Leonard Fournette over Ronald Jones. I'm leaving that the way it is. Ronald Jones, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going forward. Moving on to Antonio Gibson. I think Antonio Gibson's very good, but he's done it for a short amount of time, so I'm going to put him in good. I think Antonio Gibson is one of those guys that's going to pop this year for Washington, which sucks being a Cowboys fan because I don't want him to do good, but he's very talented. Antonio Gibson came out of Memphis, and I really liked him a lot. Thought he was better than Tony Pollard, who went to my Cowboys. But I think he's good. I think he can pop this year, definitely get up to great. Going to his backup, J.D. McKissick, I think he's just that. I think he's a backup. He's a passing down back. I don't know what else there's more to say. He's just, and the talent to be great, but he just kind of ruined it for himself. I'm going to put him in good now. I don't really know where his career path is going past this point right now, so I'm just going to put him in good. Jonathan Taylor goes at the top of good. I mean, he popped at the end of last year, and now that I do that, I'm going to put Marlon Mack in X. I don't really think they're on the same level. Jonathan Taylor's really good. I liked him a lot out of Wisconsin. Great runner, can evolve as a player in the passing game a little bit, but the talent is there for that. So I think he can pop to integrate at the end of this year, but he's good right now. Austin Eckler is great. I don't think he's best of the best. I don't know if he'll ever get there, but he is very great. Despite some health concerns, he has carried that Chargers running back group as a runner and in the passing game. Going to be very good for Justin Herbert this year. Kind of a safety blanket because Hunter Henry's out in New England right now. So I think checkdowns, stuff like that for Justin Herbert going to be key with Austin Eckler. I think Austin Eckler has a huge year this year. Really like Austin Eckler. Next is Today, Junior. Next is Sony Michel. I think Sony Michel's a backup at this point. Him and Chubb, when they came out of college, they came out of Georgia together. I like Nick Chubb 1,000 times better than Sony Michel. I didn't think Sony Michel really warranted to be picked where he was. Kind of a smaller frame, has good ability as a runner, but doesn't really provide much in the passing game. So I think he's just going to be a solid backup at this point. James Conner is just a solid backup. I mean, at this point, he really wasn't anything special in Pittsburgh. He had a couple games, but he's just okay. Oh, shit.
A few moments later.
I'm gonna save Zeke for last. Alvin Kamara is great. I'm putting Alvin Kamara in best of the best. I think he is on the same level as these guys. I would take Alvin Kamara over Dalvin Cook. I would take him over Barkley. I would take him over Aaron Jones, etc., etc. Some of the runs that Alvin Kamara pulls off, he has some of the best balance in the game. It's super tough to take him down. He just bounces off tacklers. It's insane. Last but not least, I'm wearing a Cowboys sweatshirt right now, is Ezekiel Elliott. Listen. Zeke, let him eat, baby. Let him eat. I want to put him in best of the best. If this was 2 years ago, he would be best of the best. Kind of been struggling. He went to Cabo and he was out of shape last year and the line sucked. So he had a bad year. What do you expect? It happened with any of these guys. So not a lot of people are high on Zeke right now. I'm high on Zeke right now. Okay? I think Zeke is one of the best running backs in the league. Call me biased. Whatever. I don't care. Come at me. But Zeke is a great running back. If you don't think Zeke is at least great, don't talk to me. All right, there you have it, guys. This is my list. So we have 4 in best of the best: C-Mac, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Alvin Kamara. 6 in great, about a dozen in good, about 10 in and then about 10 in solid backup. I wish there were more tiers because I think a lot of these guys shouldn't be together. Like, I take Antonio Gibson over Melvin Gordon. I think Melvin Gordon at this point is just I'm gonna move him down. I don't know how I feel about this middle section. I feel like a lot of these guys, like Joe Mixon's definitely at the top of good. I'd put him at the top. I'd put Antonio Gibson closer to the top. I don't know. I feel like there should be another section between, I don't know, somewhere in here. But that's my list for the running backs, guys. If you did like the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Next video is probably going to be wide receivers. We're going to skip over fullbacks because I'm sure none of you care about fullbacks. But yeah, wide receivers will be next. Look out for that video. Should be up soon. Comment down below. Tell me if you agree, if you disagree. Give me your comments on it. Let me know who's your favorite running back, who's your team, and see where I ranked your player. That's going to be it for today, guys. Have a great day. Peace out.